Hello everyone, and welcome to Session 2 of Star Trek Lesser Halls, a tribute to Lower Decks. We are using the Star Trek Adventures rule set by Modifius Entertainment, and I am the Game Master, ELH. Nice to meet you all. And I don't think I have much in the way of announcements this week, so why don't we just roll in the introductions and we'll get started. So, Drill, if you want to go first.
Hi, I'm Drill, or Drillian. I play the peppy, cup half full Zahian Keela.
Hi,
Next
I'm
is,
C4A. I just took initiative. Sorry, Ellie.
You're fine.
I'm C4A, or Converse for acting, and I play Ensign Gemma Solaris. I don't really know how to describe her just yet. She likes to collect items and the Zabalian.
Hello, I am Picardi. I play the loves an argument if it helps save the situation. Shrella, or Thriller, as we're becoming to known. The Fred, I don't know, the Fred of the Scooby of the crew.
Oh, does that make me Velma then? All right.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, with that in mind, I believe that, Drill, you have the opening log today. So if you want to go ahead and kick that off, let's delve right in.
All right. Ensign's log, stardate 96153.4. We made it! Our shuttle has finally arrived and we board the USS Phoenix. Our little escapade on the abandoned Oscan mining asteroid is gladly over. I am happy to be alive and not shot by the Herodian we encountered, or whipped by the hook spiders. I'm surprised at how eager I was to explore the facility. I'm not usually too eager to explore new things, but perhaps it was because we scanned that it was abandoned before we knew our scans were useless. Thankfully, the ion storm passed just in time for us to make our getaway, leaving the Herodian confuzzled by our thrilling dancing hologram. Anyways, we've had our brief tour of the ship, smaller than I expected, but in the best way. I'm not sure how enjoyable a larger ship would be to work on, so much to do, engineering be so large with so many people around. Oh, engineering. The Phoenix's engineering room is amazing. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just perfect to run a ship of this size. Lieutenant Commander Italat is our direct superior, of whom we will be reporting to. The Lieutenant Commander has, as he toured us, explained the ins and outs of engineering operations, routines, schedules, and I, for one, am glad of the somewhat strict schedule. I enjoy the regularity. I also made sure to ask many questions because I'm worried that I might miss something. I'm not sure how good a first impressions 20 questions is, but if I don't ask now, I may never, and then I'll just get myself in trouble down the road. Down the star? Down the space? Space highway? Would space ever populate enough for the need of space highways? Well, bring it back. We're off track. Space tracks? Anyways, we're en route to a broken down Antares-class automated freighter. I've never seen one before. Their original creation is older than the Enterprise itself. They may be big and clunky, but their design is legendary, at least in my opinion. Unfortunately, this one has experienced antimatter containment loss. Big issue. Fortunately, very fortunately, they were able to shut down safely in time and send a distress call, which, of course, we're on our way to answer. I said that already. And you're going to hear some fumbling noises. TM, wait! I need that pad! I'm doing a lock! More fumbling noises. Phew, okay. Pad's okay. TM just woke from a nap and got excited. Speaking of, TM, or Tesla Montgomery, has settled in well. She sleeps in my bunk, falling asleep easily, though I can never tell when she's awake because she has no eyes. Perhaps I'll learn her TM's quirks? She seems to already picked up on my own, knowing exactly when to step out of my way, pick up my tricorder when it fumbles out of my hand, as it often does, and ready with any tool I need next. She almost seems eager to help. TM also appears to have a bit of a mischievous side. The Lieutenant Commander says TM can stay as long as she doesn't hinder the workflow or any operations. In fact, I think she brings some joy and life to the engineering room, perhaps some good morale for the other officers on the ship. She likes to, it. I need to talk to one of the science or medical officers here, see if we can analyze TM further. Our tricorders have been unable to detect what gender TM is, or even what she is. It is, for that matter. I tried in my spare time to research using the Phoenix's database, but I've come up empty-handed thus far. But that's okay. I love TM regardless of whatever he, it is. And luck.
Very nice, and of course you may have one momentum for that opening log. So, where we begin today's session proper is actually going to be in the main engineering of the Phoenix. Now, as you alluded to, for a ship the size of the Phoenix, it's actually kind of quaint. It's very similar in design to the Defiance class's engineering room, where it's kind of that golden dome in the middle with the sort of short column of light that goes into the ceiling and feeds the matter and antimatter into the chamber, with EPS conduits running along the floors into the walls. You maybe could play a very short game of football in here, but it's very, very short. But all of you are in here currently as Lieutenant Commander Tholot is going over some last-minute items before he sort of releases you to go fix the freighter. So, as you three kind of join in mid-conversation, the Lieutenant Commander simply goes on to say, "All right, folks, we're looking at probably some failure of the magnetic containment fields. I'm hoping it's that easy, because if it is, that means that all we have to do is just replace the emitters and ensure that magnetic containment is, well, maintained. Though, something about this doesn't sit right with me. According to the logs, X213 received a layover in, ironically enough, the Antares system, and they checked out fine there. So I'm thinking something else is at play here."
Just a question. How old is the engine? Is it like still set up to the standard, the old standard back in the day, where the antimatter chamber is separate from the actual plasma warp core, or is it a newer version like ours?
And he kind of looks at a pad. Looks like this one in particular is the older style, which kind of makes sense. I mean, the Antares class is just an automated freighter that's supposed to go around at warp 1, so yeah, I guess they wouldn't really need the fancy, well, this, and he motions around at the engineering room.
Yeah.
Solaris just raises her hand. It's like, so it being the older model, do we know if it's the deuterium or antimatter side of the core that was having the issue?
That is also something that is odd, because normally when one of these freighters breaks down, it sends out a code that you know what the problem is, but we didn't get that. We just got a general distress call from the freighter.
Okay.
Well, I guess the only question I would have remaining is, how do you all feel about going on this away mission by yourselves? I would normally send along a security officer, but I mean, it's a freighter. There shouldn't be anything wrong with the freighter, right?
Can I bring TM?
If you want.
Awesome.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
Very good. Then my next question is, would you like to use the timeshare shuttle, or would you like to be transported over?
I would like to be transported. TM with me.
Transportation.
All right, transported shall be. And at that, the Endorian kind of nods and says, all right. Then I think before we get this thing started, I just have one quick question. And he lowers his pad and he points at one of the corners of the engine room. And now that he's pointed it out, you see that there is a leftover plate of, might be turkey, might be ham. You'd have to go over and look. But there's just a plate just sitting over in like a nook in the corner. And he's like, you all know what that's about? Because I usually don't allow eating here in main engineering.
I would know.
And you would be right.
It's the ship all over again.
It's gonna get the stuff dirty. It's gonna tip over, and then it's gonna fall, and everything's gonna fall in the crack. And then she just goes off on like a stressed ramble, worrying about the
When I get back, I'm
electronics.
doing a level 2 diagnostics to make sure there's no cups anyway.
Gemma goes and picks it up and like goes to dispose of it, and it's like, everything in its place. Why can't people understand this? This is how we run a smooth operation.
I could see why the previous engineering were promoted off the ship.
I start
They
doing a
are,
level 2 diagnostic. Don't worry, this will only take a few hours, maybe a day. We'll be fine.
And, I think that Tholak kind of laughs at that and says, "Yeah, there's someone else's problem now." But yeah, if you guys need anything on the away mission, do not hesitate to call. But I will say this much: it's not just me who's evaluating your performance here. It's going to be the captain and the rest of the command staff. So make sure you do a good job on this one.
Yes, sir.
As we're
yes,
the
sir.
three, as we're the only 3 going, which one is actually going to be in command of the situation?
That's an excellent question. And he kind of looks between the 3 of you. Let's see. You all graduated at the same time, more or less. Oh no, Thriller, was it? You graduated earlier, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Let's have you be in charge, and if you need a second in command, kind of looks over at Solaris, looks over at Kila. Let's put Solaris second in command on this one.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, let's get going. Let's get stuff.
Let's
Any supplies you
go!
think we need?
Environmental suits. We don't know if there's any radiation damage.
Yeah, I would definitely think environmental suits. I'm definitely thinking if it's anything to do with a warp core, there could be some radiation.
Okay. So, normally when you take a piece of equipment like environmental suits, it would cost momentum or threat. But since this is required for the mission, and this is a key distinction, since it is required for the mission, you give it to the players for free. So normally they would have had to spend 2, but in this case, again, since it's for the mission, you get it for free. And we already have the first instance of evilness in chat, so I see that complication, Shizno. We'll save it for a dramatically appropriate moment. But is there any other pieces of equipment that you all want to have noted that you're bringing with you? Now, what I would tell you is that as engineers, you do automatically all carry an engineering toolkit and a Type 1 phaser.
Can TM have like a backpack thing that would hold more tools?
Yeah, and in fact, let me actually pull up the list of items here, because that might be something where I'll just kind of, I think at some point I'll sit down and just transcribe, all these pages in so that you guys can just look at the list. But let me see. Would you want to take an additional power cell with you?
Yes.
Yes.
What all
Okay.
is in an engineer toolkit? Because our scanners.
Right, so what's in a engineering toolkit is basically you have a multi-tool of sorts that whenever you use it as an engineering officer, you actually reduce the difficulty by 1. Very important piece of equipment to have. There's also a bunch bits of doodads and things of widget nature, if you will. It's mostly just a flavor item that gives you tools to work with. Like, so if you think you need, I don't know, like a tiny anti-grav unit, or if you need like a beacon, things of that nature, very easy to say that you have that in your kit.
Okay.
If we're transporting, just in case something goes wrong, bring some stuff to make sure that we can transport back easier. What are they called? The
You're
sticks.
thinking of pattern enhancers.
Yes, pattern enhancers.
Now, the pattern enhancers are the only thing thus far which I would require a spend for, but it would be the 1 momentum you just got to bring those along.
What do you think? Should we do it, or should we just fling it to the wind?
Yeet.
Yeet.
Yeah, let's take it.
Yeet.
Is that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Take it however you like.
I think it is throwing it away. Don't take it.
Oh,
But
well,
If you don't bring it, we're gonna wish we had it. Just please be sure to put it back afterward.
Of course.
if we don't stay organized, we'll get nothing done.
All right.
All right, then let's move forward. So we move to an external shot of the Phoenix, moving in from left side of the screen to the Antares class freighter X213. Now the Phoenix itself, since this is the first time we're seeing it, basically it's like a U on its side. It's kind of got that sort of swoop in the back part of the ship that's empty, and it of course has the 2 nacelles which kind of actually tilt inwards at a 45-degree angle. But if any of you have ever played the Star Trek Armada 2 game, it's basically the repair ship, but buffed to be for the 24th century. So it looks a little bit more futuristic, looks a little bit more streamlined, but it's still a very small ship, all things considered. Now, the other ship we see is the X01E02 Freighter, and it's a little bit different than your normal Antares-class freighter for a few reasons. So, not only is the Antares design like TOS level, but it's also something where the overall design is, well, not to belabor the point, old style. It has just basically the midsection is just a vertical row of cargo bay after cargo bay. It has the old style nacelles behind that. And then the one important thing about this one is that it does not have the crew compartment a manned freighter would have. So you still can get to things like the warp core and things of that nature, but it's definitely not about... this isn't something where you could live long term kind of a thing. Like there's not even replicators installed. So instead of having that sort of front piece attached to the front of the freighter, it's just sort of like a stopped, abrupt end where the cargo bays end and where the module would begin. But yeah. Oh, hey, you just got a momentum from chat. Thanks, dear Wolf. So my question is, since there's about 20 or 30 cargo bays here, where do you generally want to be in the ship? Now, the cargo bays do have life support, but again, you don't have any replicators in there. Key distinction. So I guess using the map I've got on here, what general area of the ship do you want to drop into here?
So,
Not terribly close to
yeah,
where the warp.
We don't want to be too far, but we don't want to be too close, just in case. We want to be able to get away quickly.
We want to check if there's been radiation damage, and or if we're dealing with like cryogenic instead.
Well, can we do a quick scan before we go on?
Certainly, yeah. Why don't you give me a reason and engineering, and then if someone wants to grab the Phoenix will assist you with a sensors engineering.
Gotcha.
And remember, the ship always does have a focus.
Reason engineering.
Oh yeah, difficulty. Difficulty of 1 on this.
You said the ship was what? Sensors?
Sensors and engineering.
Cool. Boom.
All right, there's an assist from the ship. And then yeah, let's see.
Forces, bombs, okay.
Okay, here we go. All right, so you actually do succeed, so you do get a momentum for your troubles, but that is a complication.
Oh no.
So I think here's what's going to happen is you get a very brief scan of the freighter, and you can tell that there's not really like a burst of radiation or like a radiation sort of pocket on the ship, but something is wrong when it comes to the cargo containers. Normally ships like this don't shield their cargo holds. You know, anybody can just sort of roll up and scan them. This time the cargo bays are shielded, meaning that you're going to have to insert into the shuttle bay is kind of really the only place you could beam into.
Okay.
Well, that gives that's our choice then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Beam in the shuttle bay.
Yep.
Right.
So as that all happens, and of course you feed the coordinates to Lieutenant Jenkins, CPO Jensen. I always get them confused, but Jensen, you know, kind of a worrywart, Barclay hypochondriac type. You know, he's kind of rubbing his head as he's typing at the transporter console. And he goes, "All right, just don't make me beam you from one of the shielded sections. I mean, I'm pretty great, but I'm not that great."
We'll do our best.
Do our best.
Oh, is the I don't even know what to call it. Your dog pet thing
TM.
going? TM. Okay, is TM coming? Okay, got on the transporter pad. Guess it is coming with you. All right. Well, good luck. And he pushes the button, and you all dematerialize and then rematerialize in the shuttle bay of the X01E02 cargo bay. Now, I'm taking a page here from the original motion picture where the shuttle bay and cargo bay are kind of synonymous in that we see that the shuttle bay is kind of long extension, goes all the way to the back of the ship, And once you get through the shuttle bay, it actually dips down and forms into a cargo area where there are basically hexagonal and triangle shaped containers which have been fitted into the walls in such a way that they can store like maybe 5 or 6 of these things in the walls at a time. And then of those cubes, there's about 16, at least in this cargo area. But what you're noticing is you materialize, all your equipment's there, all of that's there. Everything you wanted came with you, including TM. But the complication from chat is when you go to report that you've beamed in just fine, you only get a brief burst of static. You actually do not get a signal fully back to the Phoenix.
We should have taken the shuttle.
That's okay. Don't stress. The system, even though the ship's being stripped to the nines for no thing, there should be a communication system on here anyway. We can still go check the communications and still report in like we need to.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Also, I'm getting a little worried. Who's best with the weapons? I'd like to have at least one phaser out of the just in case.
I'm trying to remember my things here. I think I have something like that. Okay.
Yeah,
I am the worst.
Where did we see that?
Yeah, as a reminder, since you would be using phasers, you would be looking at a control and a security. And then your security score would be added to the phaser damage, which for type 1 is just 2. So if you have a security of 1, your damage would be 3 challenge dice. If you had a rating of 2 in security, you added 4, etc., etc., etc.
I have security 3, and I also have a focus of handheld energy weapons. So
There you
Guess
go.
it's you.
and Keela will pull out her phaser. She's like, I got it.
Yep.
Make sure you
remember
know
the gun
which one you're
discipline.
holding.
Trigger discipline.
Oh yeah, and she'll like switch hands with her tricorder and put it in her offhand.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right. So we should get the communications done, but we should also check. Should we split and get one person get communication sorted, and then the other 2 go to engineering, or should we go all together?
Do we want to stay together so that the person with the phaser can protect all of us rather than one other person?
That's what I'm thinking too, but I just wanted your opinions. Yeah, okay. We'll do that. We'll get communications done first, because otherwise they'll say what's going on. And then...
Hey, Shiraz, did you catch if there was a time limit on how soon we needed to get this finished?
Was there a time limit?
So what I would tell you is that you would all have part of your briefing. You would know that some of the supplies are destined for frontier colonies. So the sooner the better is what I would say.
All right.
But it's not like you have a hard limit.
Okay.
Yeah. Still think it's, because I've got that feeling, I still think it's better for us to be together first. Then
Sure.
maybe once we get a little bit more lay of the land, then we can split.
That sounds good.
Yeah. All right. In charge again. This is the feeling.
Let's
All right.
All right, let's go.
So, as you sort of go towards one of the doors that leads out of this cargo bay, you're going to notice 2 very important things. The first is that as you're passing through the cargo bay that's part of the shuttle bay into the rest of the ship, you do notice that there's a large, I would say almost about half a football sized sort of, I don't want to call it a tunnel, but maybe a shaft would be a better one, where it's like an elevator shaft where you could take containers with your work bee and then you could sort of move them between levels of the cargo bays and just basically drop your cargo wherever you want. So that's connected to all of the cargo bays, just so you know. And the other thing you're going to notice is that when you actually step through the human-sized doors to see what's, in the rest of the ship, you actually walk right into a combination of a Jeffries tube and a turbolift sort of functionality. So it's very bare bones. There's basically a gantry with a exposed turbolift sort of sitting off to the side ready to be boarded. And I would say that space here is very cramped. It's not a very spacious affair. Like, even the shortest among you are still having to stoop over just a little bit, bend at the knees just to fit in here.
Never mind. Would there be worker bees on each level, or would they all be up here first?
I would say, actually, since this is the shuttle bay, all the worker bees are indeed up here.
Okay. I'm being super cautious. I think we should take a worker bee down just in case the elevators decide to screw up later on.
Can we
Okay,
all
but-
fit in this turbo lift?
At the same time.
I would say you could. It would be a very tight squeeze, but the one thing I would also say is that it's definitely one person and maybe TM to a worker bee.
We'll get the communications going first, and then we'll decide what's going to happen there.
Okay. Well, I'll shove it in there.
All right, so I don't know if any of you have ever had the quote-unquote pleasure of being in a, I don't want to call it high society, but a, like a very crowded apartment building or like a high-rise with a bunch of apartments in it where there's like 60 people cramming into the same elevator car. It's not a very pleasant experience. But, you know, you're kind of packed like sardines, and maybe TM is actually kind of like up on Keela's shoulders where, you know, they're literally just sort of crowd surfing at the moment, just as, you know, there's room for all of you to stand. But one thing you note is as you give the order to go to where the communications are housed is there's a sudden like screech of metal, a lurch to the left, and then the turbolift car begins to ascend. And as you sort of go along, there's sort of that continual screeching of metal on metal, almost as if this turbolift could really, really use some WD-40. But unless you all want to introduce something, I'm going to say you arrive at your destination within about 30 seconds. Now, unfortunately, the destination is about as drab as what you just came from. It's, again, Jeffrey's Tube access and what is essentially another cargo bay. But you would know that if you were to get in the Jeffrey's Tubes and crawl maybe about 20 meters, you would reach where the communications access would be.
All right,
Oh,
let's go.
Keela would be
Alright.
like, "What?" And she'd have plugged her ear and stuck the end of the phaser in this ear to block the metal sound.
please don't do that.
And she's like, "Oh, right, okay." She'll forget she had her fingers in her ears. Where are we going?
Communications.
Get my scanner out and start crawling.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And Keela will take up the rear.
All right, so if I have the marching order correctly, it is Solaris, Shraz, and then Keela, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, Solaris, since you are up front, go ahead and give me an insight in engineering, please. And this would be a difficulty of 1. And if you have anything related to knowing your ship, anything related to power systems, anything related to observation, those would all apply as focuses.
I do have observation.
All right. And again, difficulty 1, so you have a very good chance on a 2d20 roll to get that. All right, looks like that's 3 successes. Very nice. So you get 2 more momentum. So, Solaris, you see the problem almost right away. Like, you're not even up to the communications console, but you immediately spot the problem. The walls of the Jeffrey's Tube are coated in some form of jelly. It's like, I'm trying to figure out the right word to say this. So, I don't know if any of you have ever seen, like, a... what is it called? The flower that looks like the night sky, where it's kind of purple with the white spots. I think it's called like a starburst flower or something. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is because that's what the jelly looks like. It's kind of a deep sort of royal purple with white star-like spots within it. And it is literally coating from almost 5 meters out from where the communications console is. It is just covering the Jeffrey's Tube.
The night sky petunia.
Is it safe to touch?
I don't know. Do you want to touch it?
Not immediately. I'd like to try to scan that.
Okay. Well, whichever one of you wishes to do the scan, it's going to be a reason and a science here. Difficulty of 2. So you may wish to spend some momentum here, whoever does take the roll. And if you have anything related to xenobiology, anything related to chemical analysis, those would all apply as focuses.
Either
It
of you
was a
guys have that?
holographic. No.
I have a reason 11, science 4. I don't know if that
Got-
matters.
Reason 10. Science.
Yeah, you got the
3.
best. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll do it. So it's reason, science.
And take an extra one.
Yeah. take one.
Momentum?
Take
Yeah.
an extra momentum.
So I'll run 3d20, right?
You got
Yep.
it. Learning
Okay.
quickly. I love it.
And I don't have a focus, so 8.
All right, but there's your 3 successes, which means you get that momentum right back.
Okay, so I just won't remove it.
All right, so this is something I do with my major groups. I actually am going to give Keela, I'm going to give you access to a handout in Roll20. So if you look in same tab that your character sheets are on, go to the very top, and you should be able to see a handout called the Utia. And that is where the jellies come from, but this is sort of my way of giving you guys the chance to role play information out rather than me just saying, oh, it's XYZ. And, you know, I sort of ease you guys into that, and that way it's not just like, oh, here's a bunch of handouts, read them, kind of a thing.
Love it.
Okay, so do I know what the jelly is in relation?
Yes, it is their jelly.
Okay. So this is the there's a thing on this ship. It's a creature. It's the Altia. It's a like. Do you guys know what a pig is?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's that size, and it's like. Do you know what a jellyfish is?
I was at the academy, yes.
Yeah. So it's like a pig-sized floating jellyfish, and this is like its milk excretion stuff. So it looks like that they're not contained.
So in other
Well,
words,
it's
we're
not-
not really ready for this jelly.
It's safe because it's like it's for sustenance. They're like, do you know what a cow is?
Yeah.
I've heard of one.
I'm not sure what it was, so I had to look it up. But it's like livestock, so it's like a farmable creature.
Did none of you get forced to take that elective at Starfleet?
I just want to make sure, man.
I took a different elective.
I got told I had to do it. Why do I have to learn about Terran animals?
Yeah. So it should be safe. I'm not sure how pleasant it is to consume. I've never had it before.
Well, then let's not eat it, but we can touch it.
I'm
Yeah.
spending 2 threat. TM begins eating some of it.
And Keela is gonna like frantically scan this stuff to make sure it's safe to consume.
Like reach
In
in,
this
get
state-
it out of
in
your
this
mouth.
state-
Good. We don't know. It might be safe for us, but maybe not TM.
Well, as you scan and maybe try to get TM to stop, you know, all of you try to do different things. I think it's one of those situations where TM's fine. Like, yeah, you just check your tricord again. The quote-unquote milk is perfectly fine for an organism like that. In fact, it actually maybe gets difficult for Solaris to like scoop it out of TM's mouth. Like TM is like, no, this is amazing. This is like peanut butter, and I'm a dog. I must lick.
So they're not sentient, or they're just an animal type, or
It's their secretion.
yeah.
They're like a livestock, so as a livestock would be sentient, that is the level of it.
What are they
Sentience.
livestock for?
Food and farming and
Yeah, but what race? Like which planet do they come from?
What is this destination of this livestock?
it's going to the Ranva colony, but I
Okay.
don't know where they're from.
Okay.
I don't have that knowledge.
So it's
and-
actually storage. It's escapes.
yes, it is no longer contained.
Lovely. Let's proceed with caution.
All right. We should get to. We're in this. Okay. Who wants to? Who's good with? You know what? I'll do it. I'm gonna do the communications.
Okay.
Okay.
So, important question for flavor. Do you
Yep.
crawl through the jelly, or do you let TM clean it all up before you move through?
Is it too much for TM to eat?
That's so much for him to
How much
eat.
is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot.
I'll just crawl through it. I'm in
Yeah,
a
we'll,
peasant suit. I'll be
crawl
fine.
through it.
So,
Keela will just go through it, and then she'll like let TM like lick it off her pants or whatever.
There you go.
And her
Gemma's a little
hands.
disgusted by it, but she'll crawl through it.
All right. So, when you open up the panel, Shraz, and the rest of you also see this, what you're seeing is that the communication system is actually a pretty easy fix. It just looks like the jelly kind of got into a sensitive component and shorted it out, but all you have to do is either reroute or throw in a new component, and you can get communications back up.
Might as well put in a new component. Might as well keep it good for the next person. And we
Mhm.
got the components. Right.
So this is going to be, and the reason I'm doing this is because, not because I don't think you'll pass, but because it's always interesting to see what story the dice want to tell. So why don't you go ahead and give me a control and engineering, difficulty of 1. And if you roll any complications, fun things will happen, but I want the dice to decide that, not me.
Yep.
Because if there's one thing I love about tabletop role-playing, it's that the dice can definitely sort of throw curveballs, and I love that sort of thing. All right, so you do get 2 successes, so you get a momentum back. So good news. You just swap out the component, maybe do a little bit of rerouting, and after a moment, your comm badges do work. You can get back to the Phoenix.
Shraz the Phoenix reporting in. Sorry.
And coming back is actually not your direct report, the lieutenant commander, but it is Captain Astier herself. Now, I'm going to apologize in advance. I am going to attempt to do an accent for her. It is going to be terrible. It is going to go all over the place. I apologize. But she says, wait, team. This is Captain Astier. How are you doing? We lost you for a few moments.
Some livestock has gone out and just shorted some of the circuitry, so we just have to fix that before we can communicate again.
Very, very good. We're not seeing any other issues on scanners, but perhaps figure out why it is the cargo bays are shielded.
Will do.
Very good. We will be expecting your report another hour from now.
Will do, sir. Shred's out.
Told you it was a horrible accent. I could never do it.
It was great. I loved it.
French, Russian.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Space.
Yes,
All right.
space.
All right. So we've got a secondary objective. While if we get a chance on the way, let's find out why some of this cargo is shielded. All right. So who's willing to take the lift all the way down, and who wants to sort of maybe take one of those cart things? Because if there's short circuit electricity, maybe it's the best chance to take something else to help us get out of it in case of emergency. So I think we go down and take one of the, I can't remember the names of them again.
The worker bees.
The worker bees, that's right. I was studying them last night. We'll take one of the worker bees down. Who wants to take the worker bee?
TM
I have
raises a
TM.
hand.
TM wants to take the worker bee? Okay. All right, no, I'll take the worker bee then. You guys meet me down at the level where the engineering is.
Yes, sir.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay,
So
you drive a worker bee.
All right, so you do have to. So Shraz, you do have to kind of backtrack a little bit and go back down and grab a worker bee. But again, since it is a vertical column or shaft that runs the entire length of the ship or the height of the ship, you can get from point A to point B with worker bee very easily. But that does mean that Keelan, Solaris, and TM, you actually have more space in the God, what are they called? Turbo lift, which is a little. It's very relaxed. I mean, it's still kind of cramped, but it's not as bad. But when you go to engineering and you all sort of arrive at the same place and walk into main engineering as a group, what you see is, well, maybe putting words in your mouth, but what you see is concerning. Because when you walk in, nothing's amiss. All the lights are what they should be. All the sounds sound like it should be correct. In fact, you're looking at the warp core and you hear that telltale hum that signifies that it's activated.
Activated.
I
thought it was offline. Keela wants to scan the warp core to see, like, is
Yeah, but-
actually everything okay, or does it just look like it's okay?
Yeah.
And that is actually a very important question, which I'll give it to you for free. It's fine. It's there's nothing wrong with it. The warp core is completely okay.
Is there any radiation leak that can be detected?
No radiation. Well, I mean, obviously the radiation from the core is being handled, but no, I mean, no problems
Sure.
with radiation. Antimatter containment is fine. It's it's almost
it-
too good if I had to qualify.
Kilo
Where-
wants to scan. Sorry. Kilo wants to scan if there would be a device that the warp core would send signals to that would send say like, hey, something's wrong. She wants to scan that
Oh, I
signal.
see. You're doing the simple method of start with physical connections because that's a very important step in troubleshooting.
Mhm.
All right, let's make that a roll because for an old ship like this, I think it's a little bit harder to find. So why don't you give me, let's call this a reason engineering,
Mhm.
and I'm actually going to make it a difficulty of 3 for this one.
Okay, and can I use focus starship construction?
I will give it to you. Yeah, that would definitely apply.
Yes.
And remember, you may wish to spend momentum here.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend a momentum. So I'll run 3 and I have a focus.
All right, that is 2 successes, unfortunately, which means I'm going to say, for sake of argument, that unless you want a determination re-roll those dice, you're actually not finding the component you're looking for. Like, you know where to look for it, but it's not there.
Like it's
Gemma,
like it's missing?
Could be missing,
Or I
could be
just can't
never
find it.
installed. You're not sure.
yeah, Gemma wants to check the environment, like air. Is that like A, is it breathable? And B, is there any contaminant in it?
Go ahead and roll me a reason medicine difficulty of 1.
Move.
I have
I
another
know
idea
your
as well. I
your
want
power
to check.
stat there.
Yes, the power
Medicine.
stats.
I don't think
Also,
I have
Shizno,
any
I see you.
focus on
I
that.
see you. All right, hey, I mean that's 2 successes, so you get momentum back. No hallucinogens in the air. The atmosphere is your standard class M. More
Okay,
nitrogen than oxygen, etc., etc.
take off the environment helmet because tired of
I,
that.
so don't. Oh, man, you can leave it. I'm going to check for holograms.
It's safe. Okay.
Yeah, no, there are no holograms here. Unfortunately,
nothing?
at least
Oh.
nothing that you would see. But yeah, this is an old ship. An old ship.
Yep.
They didn't even know what holograms were when this thing was made.
Yeah, I just wanted to check if somebody tried to make it look like it's a perfectly good ship with some sort of hologram check. But okay, everything's in. All right, I want to
So-
reverse engineer this thing to see where, why it would have sent it out the signal in the first place.
Well, as you all try to figure out what it is wrong or why it's reported that it's malfunctioned, the warp core begins to hum a little louder and the lights kind of cascade a little bit faster. And there's this very, very subtle lurch in the deck plates. And you can tell, because again, you're all engineers, you've gone through the academy, this freighter has jumped to warp.
Where are we going? What's happening?
We know where we're going. Hopefully, it's
Hopefully, it's
destination
the next
set.
destination of its where it's taking its cargo. Can I
But do we
pull
know
up-
that?
Well, I'm gonna check. I
Okay.
guess the log. I'd like to pull up a log and use my logistics focus to figure out what exactly is being shipped and where we're going.
Okay. Very important distinction there.
Okay.
Why don't you give me a, let's call this a reason or an insight plus con, or I'd even give you engineering because this is kind of your thing. And if someone
And-
wants to assist, one of you can assist with your own insight or reason plus con. But let's see, that's already 3 successes, which is what you need. So let's say this. So yeah, Ensign Solaris, I have good news and bad news. Which would you like first?
Bad news.
Bad news. You're headed towards a black hole.
Excellent. What's good?
Well, the good news is you've got about 2.5 days.
All right.
Plus, this is a warp 1 engine, so
Oh, yeah.
One.
it's not like we
We
can't. It's not like we're not being followed. Hopefully.
Well, keep in mind that, and I'll say this out of character, is that TOS engines, like their Warp 5 and TOS is like Warp 3 in the TNG scale. So you could, the ship could decide to go faster, but at the current speed, it'll be 2.5 days.
Hmm.
And I think actually we even get a comm over the communicator, and it's the captain once again trying to reach one of you, and it's Captain Astier trying to reach away team. Are you there?
Away team here.
What is it that you are doing? The ship has gone to warp.
That's the thing. We have not done anything. We just came to the engineering room, and it looks pristine. It looks like there's nothing wrong. And then it started to go to warp.
Say again, you are saying that there is nothing wrong?
Not that we can see straight away.
Interesting. The Phoenix is on a pursuit course. If ever you need to be, and then right before she can finish her sentence, the comm goes dead.
Keela was in the middle of like a relief sigh and then like stopped when the comm got cut. It's like,
Oh, she just gave you guys a momentum.
We've got a lot of momentum, so can I ask the question?
Yeah, so this is again a teachable moment. So since you have so much momentum, here's some things that you can do with it. So one of the things is that you can ask a question, which I have to answer truthfully. You can use one momentum for one question, or, and this is a very, very powerful spend, but you want to hear the full details of it before you get too crazy. You can create an advantage. Now, basically what the advantage means is that this can be something like, oh, well, I jury-rig, with the spare power cell we bought, with the pattern enhancers, and we carry the signal, and we get a new communication link to the Phoenix rather than going through the X213. You see what I'm saying? Where you basically are adding a narrative element to the game that helps you in some way. And it doesn't have to be just roleplay specific. It can be a tangible, like, difficulty decrease, or maybe something that makes a task even possible to roll for, if that makes any sense. And that costs 2 momentum to do.
Yeah. Well, we're in engineering, and most things come from engineering, so we might be able to reroute communications and everything through engineering and even navigation. So we might be able to try. Well, first off, which one? I think we should set navigation to go on course.
Do we know if this is happening within our own computer banks, or is it being influenced by an outside source, like recalling?
Good thought, but you don't know at the current moment.
Okay.
With the last roll, could we use the momentum to ask that question? Because that was checking that system for.
Yeah, I'll give it to you if you want to spend the 1 momentum. I can answer that question. So, Solaris, you're not far off the mark, but not in the way you're probably expecting.
Okay.
There is no signal coming from the space itself, from the exterior of the ship, but there does seem to be a strange program running on the ship's computer, and it's almost like a black box where you can just see that it's running, and you can see that it's doing something, but you can't access the program directly, you can't remove it from memory, it's just sort of there.
So it's in the computer.
Do we know when it was put in?
Well, you can either roll for it or give me another momentum.
I will roll for it.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a insight in engineering, difficulty of 2, and if you have anything related to computers, that would definitely apply here.
Did you take the momentum away from from that thing we just did before? We asked the question.
No, I will though.
Yeah, you should be at 5 momentum right now.
No, I don't have anything, so.
Let's see, do you get 2 successes? Let's find out.
Yes.
All
I'm
right,
rolling.
there's your 2.
I shouldn't say anything.
There you go. So, Keela, good news, bad news. Which do you want first?
Bad.
Bad. This program was installed about the same time that the freighter made its distress call.
Okay.
Good news.
The good news is you can identify the program's origin.
Which
And
is
that origin being, it is an old Cardassian make that they would usually put on dreadnought missiles, if you all remember that episode of Voyager. So if you don't remember that episode, I'll clue you in. Basically, the Cardassians have a sort of a super weapon where it's just basically a big, like, interspatial ballistic missile. And they have a control system on it which is not really sentient, but it's also very, very good at its job, where it will deliver its payload no matter what, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Very hard to get rid of.
Is there a known way to dismantle it?
I mean, it's been done several times before, but you kind of got to be real careful, because if you do it wrong, boop.
All right, this seems like it's a job for me with my computer's skills. Does anyone else have any skills involving trying to get rid of a virus like this? Well, I'm going to call it a virus.
It's kind of what they are.
Yeah.
I've got focus with transportation. If we want to, I don't know if that'll help at all. Jury rigging.
Jury rigging might help, maybe.
Okay.
Should we try to get rid of it? Like, it's probably for the best.
We should try to dismantle it first. Unless
Is
that's
it
what you
something
mean.
to
Is like
dismantle it, because I think it's in the it's not a box. It's like literally in the system, right?
Yeah,
Can you
it's
write-
literally a running program. It's not like a physical
Yeah.
item on the computer.
Okay,
It's a
I
virus.
misunderstood. So, can you write a code to counteract this?
That's probably what I'll have to try. Yes.
Okay.
And I have to be very, very careful.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Meanwhile, something came in here and it's possibly installed it.
Okay.
So
So we need to check out the
we need to check out
bays.
the bays.
Okay.
So if maybe
I can go check
you
out
go
the
check
base.
out the bays.
I'll
Yeah.
take TM with me.
All right. Do we still have close range communication? Or
You
is
do,
all
yes.
communication? Yeah, cool. Keep communications on at all times.
Aren't there 30 bays?
Yeah, there's a lot
Just
of
check this
cargo
bay
bays.
for now.
Do you?
One bay at a time.
It's the Michael Bay.
There you
Yeah.
go. I don't know. I don't think we have enough explosions for it to be a Michael Bay thing.
I'll give you a little
You
bit.
don't know that yet.
I hope not. I hope not.
We have a
but-
walk call right here.
All right. Well, actually, what
Roll out.
happens is as you all start to get ready to split up, and we're doing this right when we're going to go to break, but the door opens that would allow you to go to the turbo lift, etc. And floating out of it is one of those jellyfish, and it is at this point that I can actually show everybody the handout. So for those who again don't have access to the handout, or you're just listening in audio, if you'll imagine a black colored jellyfish with golden frills up by the head, and then the tendrils or tentacles of the sort of the trailing behind the main body, those are jet black with sort of gold ridges that run down the middle of them. And these things again are about pig size, so they're fairly sizable in terms of getting around them. But it's not just one or two that floats in, it's like 3 or 4 that floats into main engineering. And as you all start to look at each other and look at the old T jellyfish, that's where we're going to go to break. So we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes, everybody. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of session 2 of Star Trek Lesser Halls. If you're just joining us, the players are investigating a Antares-class freighter, X01E02, that apparently is home to jellyfish and Cardassian AI. And if that wasn't bad enough, apparently the freighter has a mind of its own, quite literally, because it's flying towards a black hole at warp 1. And even more bad news is that as the players begin to try and figure out, well, what the hell is going on, they are now accosted by some very large floating jellyfish. And that is where we resume. As the Ultia, we'll say for sake of argument, there's actually 3 of them. So the big 3 pig-sized jellyfish, black and gold in color, come floating in and just sort of sit there before the door. They just sort of float there.
But Keela's gonna take a couple steps toward them cautiously to see if they like react to her getting closer.
Well, I pull my phaser.
All right.
I'm waiting.
So, and this is an interesting roll. Why don't you give me a presence and a command and a difficulty of 2? I know that's probably your power stat, but probably going to want to spend some momentum on this one.
Who's rolling this one?
You are.
Me. Okay. Yeah, I'll spend a momentum.
Spend that momentum. We have it. Use it.
And look at that. You actually get 4 successes, so you get 2 momentum back. Very nice.
Hey.
So I think, yeah, Keela, you just very carefully, hands up, you get closer and closer to the jellyfish, and yeah, I mean they're just sort of vibing. So if you wanted to push past them, you could, but they don't seem to mind that you're there.
So she will like kind of usher TM behind her, like to follow, and then just like very carefully maneuver through them without touching them to go
And
on
yes,
my
since you
merry
got that
way.
many successes, that's what happens.
And I'm on my way to the first cargo bay to scan what the heck the shields are about.
All right. So as Keela goes to check that out, Shraz, I think you're working on a program, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So what is Solaris doing while all this is going on?
I mean, there's a bunch of bays. I figured I'd go check out another bay.
Okay. So it would be the same sort of presence and command to get past the floating jellyfish, as it were. Or you could try and find another way around, but it might take a while.
I'll try to go through it.
Go through. All right. Presence command, difficulty of 2.
You want to use a momentum?
You can use
Sure.
the momentum. We have 6. We're max, so it's better to try to get rid of some.
Sure.
I'd almost say maybe spend 3 of it. That way you're rolling 4 dice. Because remember, if you go more than 6, that momentum is lost.
Okay, give me another one.
That's 2. That'll be 2 for the next one.
Yeah, so you would be down to 3 total.
Oh, okay.
Using
Let's see
that,
what.
and I don't have a focus with that.
Yeah, unless you've got something like escape and avoidance. Yeah, that it's a very niche thing I'm asking you to roll. All right, so interesting. On
You
a
forgot
1,
to roll the 2 extra dice.
Oh yeah, you got to roll the 2
Oh,
extra dice.
crud.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So just
Okay.
roll another 2, and we'll count those.
I knew I'd forgotten something. So it was presence
Command.
and command.
Actually, you have a really good presence command, all things considered.
Yeah.
And it was 4 dice? No, 2 more dice.
Yeah, just
Take it
roll 2
away.
more.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
that's actually 3 total successes, meaning you get a momentum back. And yeah,
Hey.
just like Keela and TM got through, you just sort of weave your way and are able to now investigate other bays. Yeah.
All right, Virus. It's you and me.
All right.
Ah.
So, it is at this point that I'm going to offer you a devil's deal. And if you've ever watched my content, you know what's coming. So you can either, Shraz, you can either do a single high difficulty test, meaning we're talking difficulty 5, difficulty 6, or we can make this an extended task, which I think we did at the end of last session, if you guys remember. So it will take more time to do, but it would be an extended task and a little bit easier.
Might do the extended task because I don't think we just use if we had 6 momentum, I might just go the other one. But I think an extended task in this case. Plus, gives me more training on extended tasks, so when we have to do a bigger one later on.
Yeah,
Very
we have
good.
30 bays to look at, so.
Yeah. All right. In that case, I'll type out all of the things you need to know. The work track is going to be a 12. The magnitude will be a 4. The difficulty will start at a 4. And there's also a little bit of resistance on this one. And again, I'll explain that as this all comes up. So, talk me through your process here. You don't have to get into like Linux source code level, but what is your sort of angle of attack here as you're trying to get rid of this Cardassian programming?
Okay, so first off, so it's sort of got an AI to it, right?
Yes.
So, all right. So I've got to try to. I think I want to try to contain it. So I want to try to make it so maybe emulate an environment similar to the ship, and then try to contain it in that, and to lock it out.
Sort of like a honeypot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I make a virtual machine of the engine, like the OS, and it's that like there's parts of it, so enough to make it think it's going to its go-show systems and get into there, so I can lock it out from the actual system.
I like it.
Try to deal from it in there.
Let's have you do a daring engineering, and again, the difficulty to start will be a 4.
All right. I'm gonna. Can I just take 3 momentum to take it so I get the 4? Because this is going to be a hard one. So can I take 3 momentum?
Yeah.
Thank you. Also, daring momentum. The daring engineering is my jam. So.
Oh, we've been forgetting untapped potential.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oh, it always happens. All right, Keela, go ahead and roll a challenge dice real quick because you're still on the board here. Go ahead and Solaris, you also roll a challenge dice. Both of you. All right, so you do have 1 more momentum, and then let's see what Converse gets. Okay, so you would just get the 1, so you would be at 2 momentum total.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta set up like a reminder window that to remember untapped potential.
Big red letters onto screen.
So we roll that every time we roll anything?
Anytime we use momentum or threat.
Momentum or threat. Okay.
Oh,
We need to have like a big sticky note.
Do I got computers?
Oh yeah, definitely computers is a focus.
yeah.
That's 5 successes. Very nice.
Whoa.
So you actually get another momentum.
Clean
And
up
yeah,
house.
you know, your idea seems to be working very well. But
Roll for
remember now
momentum.
that you've succeeded, you're now going to do, oh, hey, I get threat. Nice. So what you do now, as a reminder, is you do 2 plus your engineering, so a total of 6 challenge dice. And what I would tell you is that you have 1 resistance, so whatever you roll, minus 1 is the total work done.
So 2 plus my engineering, minus 1. Okay, so
No. So it's
yeah,
it's
I
6.
minus 1 later. Yeah.
Yeah, you do the minus 1 later.
I just rolled a 1, so I get another because I did my. I remember
Untapped
the
potential.
thing. Untapped potential.
So we get another momentum.
Well,
Yes.
no. So when
No?
you roll an effect, I get threat.
Oh, so we don't get the momentum then.
Correct.
No, I just
Okay.
rolled.
Because you've rolled 1 plus effect.
Mhm.
Because of the
plus
effect, it's a threat for him
Alright.
instead of momentum for us.
Dang,
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Boom.
All right.
Whoa,
Boom.
That
whoa.
is-
Four. We're doing 4 though. 'Cause it's a minus 1.
Now let me ask this: do you have? Well, no. I'm looking at your sheet now. You don't have this. So what I would tell you is actually you have some options here with momentum. You could spend a momentum to re-roll as many dice as you wish. Doesn't have to just be the 0. You could spend 1 momentum for 1 work done, so you would be back up to 5 or 6, however much you want to spend. Or you could spend the 1 momentum to get rid of 2 resistance, so effectively you would get rid of all the resistance for this roll.
Well, 2 of them pretty much do the same thing. Give me the 5, right?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
it's the reroll.
For this instance, a lot of them do the same thing, but there are engineers who have things that sort of double up effects. So sometimes it's almost worth it to try and roll for effects, but you don't have the talents for it. So
Nah. I got a little fix there. Okay. I'll just add the 1, so we still get a 5, but it's minus. I won't remove the.
okay.
I'll just
All right. So in that case, that is going to be enough for a breakthrough. So as I type it out again, you actually are able to contain about 60% of the program in a shielded environment, a copied OS, but you're still kind of working at this.
Yep.
As you're working at it, though, we're now going to go back to Keela. So Keela, which cargo bay or what general area of the ship are you going to be going to at this point?
She would go to the closest cargo bay.
Closest cargo
anywhere.
bay. Okay.
Why go
and-
far when you can go close?
Exactly. And just to make sure I had it right, you're taking the worker bee, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And TM.
All right. So, as you go to the nearest cargo bay in that sort of trapezoidal, like yellow-colored worker bee, you actually arrive and you see that there are more floating jellyfish, more of the old tea livestock sort of just floating around. And I'm not going to put like a billion tokens on screen, but there's easily about 20 to 30 in here. They're just sort of floating around, just sort of there.
With that many, how crowded is the room? Are they like all like huddled, or is there enough space that they're like a little bit from each other?
I would say that they've got some good personal bubbles going on, but the complication that Shizno is easy, you guys. I think the complication is that when you fly into this space, you accidentally bump one of the jellyfish with your worker bee. And I'm now going to roll something. If I roll an effect, something bad will happen. If I don't roll an effect, you're fine. I've rolled an effect, everybody. All right.
Oh.
So the jellyfish you bumped into, a crackling static electricity begins to build up among its tendrils, and moments later, your worker bee crashes into the floor as it loses all power.
How shocking.
So the worker bee bumped into it, not
Yes. Well,
Okay.
you were steering the worker bee, so...
me. Great. Okay.
Now, if that wasn't bad enough, as you try to pop the hatch and get out of the now defunct worker bee, you see that now 2 of the jellyfish are floating down, still with that crackling electricity among their tendrils.
Keela is going to step out of this worker bee, and she is going to usher TM and just kind of slowly walk away from it, as if she doesn't even know it existed and she's not affiliated with the bee.
Not affiliated with worker bee. Okay. Tell you what, go ahead and roll me... Oh, hey, you got a momentum from Shizno. There you go.
Yay.
Go ahead and roll me a presence and con here. Difficulty of 3, so you may have to spend some momentum.
Okay. I will spend 1 momentum.
Okay.
So 3, and can I use escape and avoidance?
Oh yeah, that would
Focus.
definitely would apply here. All right, only one success, unfortunately. So, do you want to use determination to reroll those 2 zeros?
No, I'm gonna take it.
You're gonna take it. Okay. So I think then we're all gonna get to see another glimpse at ground combat then, because as you try to slink away from the worker bee, I think you accidentally bump into another one as you're backing up. So you turn and you see this pig-sized jellyfish, well, not looking at you, but sort of like vibing angrily. And we're now going to do a little bit of ground combat. So if you are doing anything that is ranged, it's control security. If you're doing anything like punching a jellyfish, which I would find highly amusing, but I maybe not would recommend, that would be a daring and a security. The difference is that if you're using a ranged attack, it's a difficulty of 2. If you're punching the jellyfish, it's a difficulty of 1.
Okay.
Come on, Phaser Master.
She's going to switch her. No, she doesn't. She was holding on. In my hand. Rewind. She is going to use her phaser.
Okay.
And aim for. What do I want to aim for?
Now, one very important thing about the phaser, at least the ones you all have, is they have the charge quality. Now, what that means is you have a minor and a major action on your turn, and you can spend your minor action to charge your phaser. And what that means is you can do things like say, oh, it affects an area, or oh, it'll do a little extra damage, or maybe it'll pierce a little bit better. So you could charge your phaser, or you could aim with your phaser, and that would let you re-roll a d20 on your actual attack roll.
So I can basically do like a little bit of an AoE area
Yes,
effect.
correct.
Okay. I would like to do an AoE.
Okay.
And kind of aim so that the outskirt of the AoE area effect would hit it, so it's not like a direct, but try and like push it away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like
See
it.
if I can kind of like corral it away from me.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do that. Control security difficulty of 2. This would be a very bad time to roll a complication. I'm just going to throw that out there.
And can I use my escape and avoidance focus?
No, but I'll give you handheld energy weapons.
Ah, right. Okay.
All right, that is only 1 success, unfortunately. Do you wish to spend determination to re-roll that 0?
Yeah.
Okay, so what value are you going to tap here?
Oh, I don't know if I can. You can't take the sky from me. There's always a good thing in a bad situation.
Sure enough, we'll take it. All right, so technically you don't have to re-roll just the 0. You could roll both dice if you so wished.
Sure. So it's command. What was it again?
Control security.
Control security.
And survey says, there you go. You actually now get 3 successes, meaning you get a momentum back. And now comes the very important damage roll. And again, this seems slow, but once you guys get the hang of it, this will go very quickly. So now you're going to roll your challenge dice for your phaser, which again for you is 2 plus your security, so a 5. And what I would tell you is if you roll 5 damage, then you will be able to stun all of the jellyfish in here. Because again, you charge for the area of effect. All right, so same thing I said to Picardy about extended tasks. You can spend 1 momentum to either re-roll dice or to add a flat 1 damage.
I will re-roll, I guess.
Okay.
So, am I just re-rolling 1?
As many as you want.
Per momentum?
Yeah. You can. It's one of the beauties of the system is with 1 momentum you can re-roll a bunch of challenge dice, but in other systems like Fallout, they actually limit how many times you can re-roll.
So I could re-roll all of them with 1 momentum?
You could, but that would risk giving up the 4 you already have.
Okay, I see. I actually don't want to re-roll.
Okay. So you want to maybe then spend the 1 momentum for just another flat 1 damage?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do that.
So you'll go into 3. And yeah, so narratively what happens is as you bump into the jellyfish and you realize that, you need to make a very hasty decision, you very quickly, charge up your phaser, hold it above your head, and like a almost like a Men in Black sort of like memory wiping device, you just set it off, and all of the jellyfish, they don't like splatter to the ground. They drift slowly to the ground, but every single jellyfish in this area has been stunned.
Nice. And she'll kind of be like, oh, that was going to be really bad. And she checks on TM to see how TM's doing.
Oh, TM's by the door. TM's just like, we should go. We should.
So, I'd like to scan the area for like why there's a shielding in here.
Okay, interesting. Go ahead and roll me a reason engineering difficulty of 2. And if you have anything related to force field technology, anything related to material management, this is more of a Solaris roll, but you still can roll it all the same. And don't worry, Solaris will get 1 too. All right, so Keela, you're going to look at this and go, oh, well, that's why the force fields are around this bay. It's because they don't want any of the jellyfish getting out. But then why are jellyfish in the rest of the ship? That you don't know.
So, are all the containments open in this room?
I would say about half of them are.
Okay. She doesn't think she can corral them back in, so she's gonna leave because she mystery solved, and she'll calm to the other 2. Keela, Distress, and Solaris. And she'll yeah, so cargo bay 1 was shielded because of our flying friends. They didn't want them out, so that's why the cargo 1. But I'm not sure if the whole ship has our flying friends, if that's why the rest of the bays. So I'm gonna head down to bay 3 because I believe Solaris is at 2.
I was
I don't know,
gonna go.
Solaris. Where were you headed specifically? Were you headed to the lowest cargo bay or just to the next one on?
I was gonna go down to the lowest.
Okay. So then Keela was like, I'll head down to 2 then. And she'll come off and then head on her way.
Let's go to Solaris, then we'll return to Shraz. So, Solaris, when you arrive at the bottommost cargo bay of the freighter, what you see is actually that it's quite pristine. Again, it looks like nothing's wrong here. There's still sort of those trapezoids and rectangles and hexagons and other patterns of containers in a wall, but there are no open containers. There are no force fields blocking your path. But the only thing I would say is that the moment you step through into this cargo bay, you do lose communication with the others. But it's as simple as just walking back outside to regain communication.
Okay. She wants to know if there's labeling, if we're looking at these pictures, like, are those colored squares like labels of what is inside?
Yeah, so you kind of go up to one of the labels and you read it, and it simply says something along the lines of colony supplies for colony XYZ.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if nothing looks suspicious, and just, I guess I leave.
Okay. Now, something I would throw out there just to sort of throw you a bone is, remember how I said that the engineering room looked pristine?
That's true. I don't know what I would scan for, though.
But just do a general scan.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll me a reason and a science here, difficulty of 2. Actually, I'll give you reason engineering too, because I gave Keela a reason engineering. So you could do either reason science or reason engineering.
Can I use my focus of observation?
Most definitely you can.
Okay. Ah, scheiße. I did it wrong. Sorry, cancel that.
And you do have 3 momentum if you wish to spend any.
Reason, engineering, 2, focus.
All right, that's only 1 success, unfortunately. So, what I'm going to say is that you maybe scan about maybe a couple feet into the cargo containers, but then you run into unexpected interference where it's almost like the container itself has shielded compartments, which shouldn't be a thing.
Well, I mean, that's sus.
Gonna report it back?
I'll step back out into the hallway or Jeffrey's tube or whoever I got down here and inform the others.
That does look very suspicious. I think maybe both of you should go down there and do a proper sweep of the area. And be careful.
Knowledge.
We've got a Kardashian virus on here. We might have somebody that we don't want to bump into on the ship.
Gotcha.
While I'm on my way, Shras, is there a log of supplies kept on the ship in the database? Like what's in all the cargo bays that you can look into?
Could possibly. I am fighting a virus. A very smart
true.
virus.
Right. You do that, I'll head down.
So out of character, I think Solaris, like, I just picture Solaris like the moment she had computer access, she's like, give me that manifest. That's mine now.
Yeah.
So yeah, after a moment, Keela and Solaris are in the same cargo bay again with those half-shielded containers. And Solaris, you look at the manifest, and the only thing that should be in there are just standard sort of duranium and other raw materials used for colony building. Nothing should be shielded in there.
Why would it go to so much effort for something that doesn't require it?
Well, it probably isn't as it appears at this point. And she'll be like, yeah, she gives a look like, yeah, you probably knew that already. Feeling a little Can we open it, or is it like locked?
No, you can open it if you want. You just have to tell me you're opening it.
Should we open it?
Yes.
And Keela will like open it, like very, as she's standing behind the door, she'll like stay behind it.
And I'll stand like kind of off to the side with my like phaser ready, but I like want to be able to see inside.
Yeah, and I imagine TM is down here at the door.
Of course,
Looking in.
of course. Mhm.
As he does.
So, as you open the door to this cargo container, the sus cargo container as we're calling it, you do see the standard colony supplies, like those classic Star Trek blue barrels that are the enemy of Worf, son of Moog. But when you look past those blue barrels, you see photon torpedoes. And that's definitely not on the manifest.
Oh.
Keela will just like close the door.
And Gemma's gonna back into the corridor or whatever and let Shraz know.
Thanks for informing me.
Yeah.
Okay. Why would there be photon torpedoes on the ship, and then why would a virus want? Is the virus actually wanting to remove the stuff then?
Don't
Like
know.
somebody actually purposely trying to hide the evidence or destroy the evidence?
But what evidence of the it sounds to me like the ship is heading towards a black hole, and there's torpedoes on the ship.
Yeah.
So someone doesn't want this supplies to get to its destination.
Or that is the destination, and there's a pickup going to happen in the 2 days.
That's true. It was
Oh.
ordering weapons.
And then black hole solves problem of
Everything else.
anything else. Let me try to stop it going into the black hole first, then I can investigate a little further.
Okay.
Keep investigating. Find. Try to disable the shields if you can too.
Copy that.
Mhm.
All right.
So while the gals are working, let's return to main engineering, where I'm actually going to introduce a complication, and that is that your difficulty is actually going to increase because you are doing your best not to get, very angry jellyfish shocking the heck out of you. So your difficulty here is actually going to be a 4, but it's the same roll as before, daring engineering, difficulty of 4, and we'll see what happens.
Can I use the remaining momentum then? Yeah.
Fight it.
Vote. All right. All momentum gone.
Okay.
Because otherwise, yeah. And what was it again? It was
Daring engineering, and you have a
Daring
focus of
engineering.
computing.
Yeah. This is what I was born to do.
In before 3 complications.
Yeah. Oh no.
Okay. All right, that's only 2 successes out of the 4 you need, unfortunately. So would you like to spend determination or maybe re-roll those zeros?
Yes.
Can he re-roll his like untapped potential now? Because we spent momentum.
No, it has to be at the resolution of the roll.
Oh, okay.
I'll use determination to reroll those zeros.
All right, what value are you tapping?
Understands machines better than people.
Definitely go for it.
Literally said this is what I was born to do.
Just need to see 2 on 2 dice. Very possible here. Very probable. Let's see what you get. All right. You only get 1 more, unfortunately. So I think what's going to happen is when you fail to move the rest of the program over, it actually almost backtracks. And what that means is that as you fight the AI and try to keep it from returning to where it came from, you're actually going to lose work done on this. Your magnitude is still going to stay the same, but you're actually going to lose 3 work as you fight the computer tooth and nail.
No. Am I difficulty still 4?
It would still be 4, correct.
Okay.
So I'll give you 1 more attempt at this, and then we're going to go back to the girls.
Don't forget to roll your challenge dice.
Yes, now you may reroll for
challenge
untapped
dice.
potential.
Challenge dice. Challenge dice. Please be nice to me. Challenge dice.
All
Nope.
right. There you go. Nice. Now,
I
what you
can
can
only
do
roll.
is, as a reminder, since you are kind of Missing
Low on
momentum right now. You can give me threat for the same momentum cost. So if you wanted to roll 1 more die, it would be 1 threat. If you wanted to roll 2 more die, 3 threat. If you wanted to roll all 5 dice, it would be a total of 6 threat.
I think I could give 1 threat to you.
Okay.
But I'm not going to give you any more. I think the chat will give you plenty.
Yeah, chat wants you to do it all. Don't listen to Darewolf. Darewolf loves threat bombs. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, I'll give you 1. That is all. No more, good
That can
sir.
only be 1.
Highlander music begins playing. All right, let's see what you got. Syl, daring, and
Oh.
oh.
F in the chat for that.
Yeah, that's
I blame Darewolf.
Yeah, I blame Taylor.
All right, so
yeah, but yeah.
there's one way you can get out of this, and that is by challenging a value to get a point of determination back.
Challenging a
So
value.
is there any value you could challenge here to get your determination back is the question. I'll even pull up your sheet myself and see what we got here.
The only one I can see is possibly challenging my understanding machines better than people because it looks like I'm not.
Is it possible you're gaining friendship?
I could see arguments for all 4 in their different
Okay.
ways. It's just the key thing is you have to pick one that you're going to cross out and replace later.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, challenging a value, you have to get rid of it.
Yes. All right.
And I actually just looked it up. You actually only roll untapped potential when you succeed on the roll. So that last
Okay.
last roll we did actually meant nothing. So we were
But
fine there.
nothing. All right. Which one should I challenge?
Let's.
I think a better question is which ones do you want to keep more than the others?
Yeah.
That's probably the better question to ask.
And then you can like process of elimination.
Yeah.
Which ones are the most valuable?
Well, I would keep understands machines better than people because again,
Yeah.
you're engineers. That makes sense.
Yes.
That's really important.
I'd like to keep anything can be used anywhere as well. Maybe I could stop. Like, I don't know how good. What can I like? I got to think of a good argument, find solutions, but I don't know how to.
Want to challenge that?
Who are you
I don't know
arguing
how to
with?
challenge it. I'm arguing with the AI.
Yeah.
It's not finding me solutions.
When you challenge a value, you're basically doing the opposite of it, right?
Hmm.
More or less, yes.
Okay.
Ooh.
So I'm not arguing. I'm trying not to like lately. I've been.
You're not
arguing,
using
trying to
words.
get into. I'm using code. Code
You're
is my
arguing in
words.
code.
With my, because I'm literally arguing and trying to face an AI here who actually has intelligence. I'm trying to argue and to get into this spot. Maybe I say, okay, calm.
Maybe you just like be like, no more negotiating, arguing.
Okay, shit.
Do what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, that's still argument saying. Maybe say, maybe try to compromise. I don't know.
Well, it's also worth saying that you don't have to challenge a value here. This is just the option you have to try and get rid of those complications.
I'm gonna get rid of I'm gonna fail and I'm gonna have too much trouble. I got a feeling if I keep that complication, I don't think I'm gonna get this back.
I mean, you can always call us back to come and assist.
For your next rolls, yes, but for this particular roll, we have to resolve it before anything else can
Good luck,
happen.
buddy.
I don't know if I can really get anything. I don't really want to lose anything. All right, let's see what happens.
See what happens. All right, so again, Cardassian AI on their Dreadnought missiles are very resilient. So what happens is because again, there's no replicators in the room, but a panel opens up next to you in the engineering room, and a energy weapon device that looks, conspicuously like a Cardassian disruptor is pointed at you and is going to open fire. And I'm just going to go ahead and roll 2d20. I may or may not have stolen this from a certain episode of DS9. The good news is
okay.
it misses. So the disruptor does miss. However,
Mhm.
there's 3 jellyfish in the room. So the phaser, the disruptor, hits one of the jellyfish, and now the jellyfish have been angered. So now, not only are you dealing with the fact that you have angry jellyfish, you now have an energy weapon that is charging up to fire again.
Mm. All right.
Now, of course,
Right.
you can tell the others to come help you, but I don't know. It
Yeah,
might take them a little bit to get to you.
They might see it on the bottom floor. I'm gonna signal. Might need some help here. And then I'm going to take out my phaser, and I'm going to aim at the gun.
Okay. And aiming does specifically let you reroll one of the d20s, but let's see what you roll first. Control security, difficulty of 2. Survey says
I'm not going to go well.
Not with that attitude.
No focus.
I was gonna say not with that attitude, yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
well,
believe there you go.
I had
Hey,
a
you got
bad
your 2
attitude, so I get a
successes.
good attitude.
All right. Go ahead, and you have a security of 1, so 3 challenge dice for damage here.
3.
All right.
Okay.
So you fire your phaser. You take an aim and you fire your phaser at the I guess you would call it a turret conventionally. You fire your phaser at the turret, and you do hit the turret, but you don't fully disable it. It still has a little bit of life left in it, as it were, but it is definitely sparking and sort of shorting out. So maybe it'll do a little less damage if it hits you.
Maybe.
All right, and it's at this point that I'm going to turn to the girls. So both of you could conceivably make it to him in time, but it would require a little bit of creative thinking. Because the turbolift only goes so fast, but there are jellyfish and worker bees you could use.
Could we, supercharge the turbo lift with the jellyfish?
That is certainly a very zany thing that I would allow to happen, yes.
Okay,
Jury rig a worker bee with a jellyfish.
Supercharger worker bee, also acceptable.
Red to red, black to black. Let's go.
Well, whichever one you decide to do, you all working together, you may assist each other on this. It's going to be a daring and an engineering. And if any of you actually have the jury rig talent, that's the person you probably want making the roll here.
She does.
Oh,
so.
not a talent. No, it's not a talent. It's a
Oh, is it a focus? Then
Yeah.
same thing. I mean, the talent basically lets you do things for free, but having it as a focus is also good.
Okay.
Never mind. I don't know.
Yeah, it would be a daring engineering difficulty of 3.
So I only roll 1, right?
Yes, if you're assisting,
assist.
correct.
I mean, we didn't get it anyway. Even with my focus. Dang.
Oh man, I just saw that. Yeah, you didn't get anything. Do you want to use your determination? Because I don't think you've used yours yet.
Sure.
All right. What value are you gonna tap?
Helping hand.
And you are working together. Sure, why not?
But we're also trying to help Strass and get to him.
That's also true. Yeah, I'll let it happen. So yeah, go ahead and let's see you re-roll those 2 zeros.
Okay, so it was daring and engineering.
And we just need to see 2 successes here. Let's see what you get.
What
Still
the what?
nothing, man.
Wow.
All right, so I think unfortunately, with Keela and Solaris, you guys grab a jellyfish and you start hooking up the tentacles to, the power packs of either the turbolift or a worker bee, and you kind of poke the jellyfish a little bit to try and get it to shock, but the jellyfish is out like a light, like it's unconscious, and you're like, well, that was a waste of 5 minutes.
I think this one's a dud.
Oh.
Can I use my bedlam talent
Mm-hmm.
to try and can I try and shock the turbo lift myself?
You can. You are going to have to give me a fitness engineering at a difficulty of 3, though. And remember, you can give me threat for additional dice.
I will give you a threat.
Okay.
So I'm
for
rolling 3.
Yep.
Do I have a focus? Can I use my starship construction focus?
If you do it to the turbo lift, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure fitness is okay. That's only 2 successes, unfortunately. Tell you what, I'll offer you a complication. Is that you'll be able to do this, but there will be a complication.
I will take the complication.
Okay. So yeah, using your extraordinary abilities of your species, you kind of hold out your hand, like almost like Magneto, and you sort of, or maybe Emperor Palpatine, and you kind of shock the turbo lift. And
Ultimate power.
it's definitely a very cool thing for Solaris to see. And, maybe Keela's like, I've got this! I've got this! And then TM walks in front of you, and you shock TM a little bit. And TM goes, "Arr!"
Yeah, we've been through this. Stay out of the way.
But the good news is you have supercharged the turbo lift. You can reach Shraz at this point.
Quick, get it, let's go.
All his hair standing up, like.
Oh yeah,
Instead of getting there in
he's a
30
puff ball.
seconds, you get there in 15 seconds, and it only took 5 minutes.
We like slink to the bottom of the turbo lift because it's going so fast. And then when it lands, we kind of
Unfold, yeah.
Let's do that again.
we'll do it next time. And
Okay.
like rushes to get out of the turbo lift.
Guys, are you coming?
Yeah,
We're
and
here,
it's,
we're here.
We're
as you
here.
say that, the doors open and they tumble out, as it were.
Bobby.
And yeah, you actually guys got a momentum from chat. But again, set the scene. You've got that old TOS style warp core. You've got 3 angry jellyfish that are kind of charging up, getting ready to strike. And out of a panel in the wall, there is a Cardassian disruptor ready to fire again.
Can Keela aim and shoot at it?
You certainly may, yes.
Okay, and what do I roll again?
Control security.
Control
Difficulty
security.
of 2.
Security. And I can use my focus handheld energy weapons.
Yep, you definitely can.
And this would be like pure instinct for her at this
Oh
point.
yeah.
Did I roll the right one?
Yeah, you did. So you
Okay.
actually get your 2 successes, and it only needs 1 more damage. So I mean, still roll the 5 challenge dice, but as long as you roll at least 1 damage, you can take it out. Yeah, that's more than enough. So you kind of aim and you fire off a shot, and the disruptor is down. But now it's the jellyfish's turn. The jellyfish are going to attack. So I'll do the diplomatic thing. I'm going to roll 3 dice, and that'll represent who I attack. I'm just going to roll a d3. So if it's 1, it's Shraz. If it's 2, it's Keela. If it's 3, it's Solaris. So let's see where those attacks are going. Looks like everybody gets an attack. There you go. All right, so let's break this down because, again, everybody's going to be rolling this, but we need to do it in stages so that we don't lose track here. So let's start with the 1. We're going to start with Shraz. So Shraz, I need you to roll me a daring and security as the jellyfish tries to basically stinger you. So it's daring security, and if you have hand-to-hand combat or anything related to that, that would apply as a focus here.
There's 2 dice.
And 2 dice, correct.
Excellent. Please roll away. Please roll away.
All right. So what this means is if I roll at least 2 successes, you're going to get jellyfished. All right, I actually failed. So you have the and this is the beauty of this system, I find, is that when you're in melee combat, there's not sort of a, oh, I missed and my turn's ended. It's one of those things where, oh, I missed, but that means the person who is defending now gets an attack against me. And they don't have to roll anything. They just get that attack. So, Shraz, you have the option of doing something physical to one of the jellyfish. What would you like to do? Would you like to grapple it? Would you like to punch it? What would you like to do in terms of like hand-to-hand combat? What would you like to do to the jellyfish?
Punching it.
Punch it. All right.
The double fist.
In that case, go ahead and roll me 2 challenge dice because your unarmed damage is 1 plus your security. So you have a security of 1. You just need 2 challenge dice here. All right. 2 is more than sufficient because, I mean, they're jellyfish. They go down easy. So you punch the jellyfish, and it's almost like punching a balloon. There's like a whoosh of air, and the jellyfish just kind of goes onto the ground. All right. So that's Shraz's jellyfish. We're going to go to Solaris now. So same thing I just said to him. You're rolling a daring security, difficulty of 1. All right, so it actually scored a success here. So I think Solaris, you do your best to dodge and bob and weave and maybe give a punch or two, but one of the tentacle stinger things does touch your shoulder, and an electric shock is going to run through your system. So go ahead and note that you're going to take 3 stress damage. Now, much like how there's the rule of 5 with extended tasks, the rule of 5 applies to combat as well, where if you take 5 or more damage in a single attack, you're considered injured and out of the fight. Or if you fill up your stress track, you are also taking an injury. So you're just going to take 3 stress, and you're just going to mark that on your character sheet. And that stress will go away at the end of the scene. So it's only a scene per scene basis that you have to worry about stress.
Man, dice do not like me today.
All right, and then we go to Keela. So Keela, exact same thing that just happened, and the number to beat here is going to be, let's see. You would have to roll me 3 successes not to get the same shock treatment.
Okay. And what am I rolling again?
Daring security.
Daring
So when we
security.
ask for shocking therapy, this is not what we meant.
Start with taking it out for dinner first, extended task. There you go.
Oh my.
Can I use a focus?
What you got?
Escape and avoidance?
I'll give it to you, sure. All right, that is 2 successes, but not the 3 you need, unfortunately. So yeah, same thing's going to happen to you. You attempt to get out of the way, attempt to otherwise avoid, but you too, you're only going to take 2 damage. But again, it's just, I don't know if you've ever had I wouldn't call it a pleasure, but the annoyance of, feeling an electric shock or like a taser. It's not quite as bad as a taser, but it's not as bad as like I'm trying to think of a contemporary example. Like maybe it's one of those things where if you've ever had like a battery and you've licked the ends, kind of how you get that copper scent or that copper taste. Okay, apparently nobody's ever licked a battery. Maybe that's just me. Don't lick a battery. It's a very bad idea. But it's just one of those things where it hurts, like it's an intense sort of shock, but it's very short. It only lasts for like a short moment.
And I wouldn't
Yeah, that's
have
what it
any
is,
sort of, and I wouldn't have any sort of resistance with my bed limb.
I would say
Because
not in this instance.
Okay.
And yeah, Umbral Corvus, yeah, the 9-volt batteries is the ones I mean. Yeah, don't do it. It's not a good idea. All right, but that is the jellyfish's turn. So we now come back around to the players, and this means that Solaris and or Shraz may now act. So what do you want to do here is the question. Which one of you would like to act?
I had an idea of trying to find something that, I mean, it's going to be hard because we're on a ship made of all metal. Find something that is non-conductive and try to guide them back out the door.
Well, you do have
I don't
environmental
know.
suits.
That's true.
Hold it across.
Be gone.
Why don't you roll me I'll let this be one of 2 things.
Okay.
This can be either a presence and command again, or this can be a daring and con. It could be
Let's go
either of those
presence.
2, and I would set the difficulty here to 2.
Presence in command. Yeah, that's right. Command.
Not enough.
Dice. Dice.
So unfortunately, what that means is you try to shepherd the jellyfish out, using the non-conductive surface of the environmental suit. You try to shepherd them out, but it's not enough, unfortunately. The jellyfish are just too angry. They don't want to move anywhere. They just want to shock, 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 shock. But if that wasn't bad enough as it comes now to the enemy's turn, what happens is a Cardassian voice comes over the speakers and says, accelerating to warp 5. And that window you have till arriving at that black hole, you have much, much less time than before. And that's what we're going to call today's session, because that's all the time we have. So we're going to end on a cliffhanger.
Classic track.
Classic track, yeah.
2 parts.
Mm-hmm. No, that'll, one of the things I love is that you guys do your research ahead of time. But it's also something where sometimes during these 2-parters, I like giving you guys that extra week to look up what's been dropped during the session, because that way it lets you formulate, how do we approach this, kind of a thing. But yeah, so that was today's session. What did you all think? Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
I was expecting Wolf Claw stuff, but we got action.
We got jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
Well, don't worry.
Kardashian viruses.
There's still going to be warp core stuff. Your research will not be in vain. It will just come up during the second part. All right.
Good.
Well, Twitch and YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. YouTube, this is where we say goodbye, but Twitch, stick around because we're going to rate somebody. But YouTube, see you later.